less than a week away from Pro Wrestling 225's Double Jeopardy event that's coming up this Saturday. It's going to be such an action-packed show. And I am so pleased to announce or to have on the show today none other than Brett Ian Landry, one of the hearts of Pro Wrestling 225. And I know we will have so much to discuss. Welcome today.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I love interviewing with you. And I'm glad I get to speak my mind today because I got a lot on it.
Yeah, I feel it's been a long time since we've talked, definitely formally on Windsor's Court, and so much has happened, over even just the last 6 months or less than that, over the last 2 shows. So much has happened. Let's talk about, briefly, we know that last year the Overboys were disbanded. Hearts were broken across Pro Wrestling 225. But it is so good, and I'm so happy, and I know the rest of the Pro Wrestling 225 universe are happy to see how well and how much both Christian Blake and Jordan Jarr are doing at the moment in the wrestling world. So you must be a proud member of the Overboys, a proud father, so to speak.
Yeah. I guess that's one way to put it. No, it was one of the lowlights, one of the lowest lights of my career. That night when the Overboys were disbanded. Look, Disobey was the better team that night. The stipulation, of course, from general manager Mike White, which still tastes like vinegar in my mouth to say that. But the stipulation from Mike White was unfair and unjust, and there's nothing that we can do to fight that power at the time, and we just had to eat it. And the Overboys were broken up. We weren't allowed, to this day, are not allowed to compete as a full unit. I can manage Christian, I can manage Jordan, but they can't team together. And we thought that was going to be a really serious detriment for us. But the fact of the matter is, Christian and Jordan have had long singles careers well before they started tag teaming. So really, it was kind of like riding a bike. And funny enough, this whole master plan of, breaking up the Overboys and kind of dividing and conquering that Mike White thinks he's doing there has actually somehow made us stronger. Because now we've got Jordan Jarr, the brand new SEC champion, and Christian Blake, official #1 contender, regardless of any game show shenanigans, for the Pro Wrestling 225 Heavyweight Championship because he won Super Gold 7. Lucky number 7, 7th Super Gold in a row. Kept making the final 5, couldn't get it, finally got it. I mean, these are huge wins, both literally and figuratively, for Christian Blake and Jordan Jarr. And we are riding high, and that we're going to bring that momentum right into Double Jeopardy.
Yeah, I was just going to say momentum. You literally took the word right out of my mouth because they both have such momentum going forward. I guess, I don't know who to pick first, but let's talk about Jordan Jarr first. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't at Showdown the last show, and I'm so sad to have missed that, to have missed his win against Vladimir Koloff. Maybe you can recap a little bit of that for us firsthand.
Yeah, the first thing that I'm going to say is that Koloff is a horrendous, despicable person. He is an abhorrent human being. But when it comes to his craft in the ring, he is second to none. He was the last man standing in the ring along with Christian at Super Gold 7, and for good reason. I mean, the man is a tank. And as SEC champion, he's had a very dominant run. He's intimidating. He's strong. He's powerful. He's mean. He's nasty, and he doesn't care. He enjoys hurting people. Those are always the most dangerous opponents that you've got out there. Mm-hmm. So Jordan was up against a very serious test. As despicable of a person as he is, he's still a dominant athlete. And Jordan Jarr pulled it out. And he did it without having to cheat, use a chain. Vladimir Koloff tried everything he could. Now, there was that appearance from this vigilante in green
Mm-hmm.
that's been showing up recently. It's funny because some people were accusing Jordan Ja of being that vigilante. Clearly, that's not
Yeah,
the case.
saw that.
Yeah, clearly not the case, obviously, since he showed up. I don't know who he or she is or what exactly they're doing, but it seems like they are attempting to subvert Mike White, and I'm a big fan of that.
Mm-hmm.
So that interference got shut down, and Jordan Ja rose above, and that Pro Wrestling 225 Southeastern Championship belongs to him. And I
Yeah.
could not be happier, man. It's for such an incredible ride for someone who took years and years away from the wrestling business to come back, find his footing, settle in with a home with Pro Wrestling 225, and now he's a champ. Well deserved.
You talking about it, I've just got goosebumps, like literal goosebumps. I can only imagine what the atmosphere was like there in Homer,
Electric.
Louisiana when that happened.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Incredible.
amazing. I'd just like to mention, actually, just thinking, I didn't intentionally wear green, but I am also not the vigilante. I'd just like to put that out there.
Yeah, didn't you say you weren't at the last show, but now you're sitting here wearing green?
Oh,
Are
it's
you
definitely not me.
sure? All
I
right.
think someone would have noticed someone like sub height.
Yeah, well, he was up in the rafters. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about it another.
I mean, we don't know. As you said, Jordan Jar's name's been bandied about. Wild Thing. I think even Chase Matthews' name was mentioned at one point, and I have no clue who the vigilante is.
I've seen people talk online about Jordy. I've seen people
Oh,
talk
yes.
online about Purple Haze. Even I've seen
Wow.
that name come up. I don't know. I don't know who it is or why. Again, he or she is doing what they're doing. But if they are anti Mike White, then they're pro Overboys.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now, Jordan Jar coming off his successful win against Vladimir Koloff has quite a tough test coming up for him at Double Jeopardy against none other than former SEC champion Wes Warren.
I've known Wes Warren ever since he started. Um, Literally, I met Wes Warren the first month he started wrestling. And this was a bright-eyed kid who was looking to make it in the business. And I don't know how many people out there know this. I've given Wes Warren advice. I never trained Wes Warren or anything like that, but I've definitely given him some, like mentoring talks in the locker room as he was starting out. And he wrestled in a little bit of a different area than where the Overboys are based, so we didn't really get to see each other too often. And then after a while, our paths crossed again, and it absolutely is not the same person. He is angry and despondent, and he's filled with so much rage. It's so unhealthy. I don't know how he can operate day to day being so rageful. It's I feel bad for him. I legitimately feel bad for him. I don't know who or what got in his head. I know he hangs around in certain circles with Locura. I know that Locura is not a stable individual, and I'm sure some
Mm-hmm.
of that rubbed off on Wes Warren as well. But I don't know. I really feel bad for the kid. I think that he could be a brighter star than he already is if he had his head in the right place.
Yeah,
And
angry. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, he clearly doesn't. And it's kind of breaks my heart a little bit, to be honest.
Now, angry and unstable, they're definitely two words that I would associate with Wes Warren, and I myself have had a couple of run-ins with him. Unfortunately, how does one prepare for a match against Wes Warren? Like, how is Jordan doing with that?
Well, that's the funny thing. You can't. Jordan and I have talked about that before. When you've got someone that is so angry and unstable, like you've said, they don't go into matches with a game plan. Normally, going into a match with a strategy and a game plan is a good idea. You watch tape, you study your opponent, or if you've worked them before, you're like, all right, so how did this happen? Can I maybe dodge this move? Can I reverse this one? You can kind of go in the archives, look at the tape, right? You don't have the ability to do that with somebody like Wes Warren. If he's got those wide eyes and he's coming in the ring and he's just attacking you like a rabid animal, all you can do is defend yourself and then find a way around to use his rage against him, right? You have to find the moment where he makes a mistake. And if he makes a mistake and leaves himself open, you've got to take advantage of that. And that's the biggest downfall of those types. You can't plan for a match with them. It's not something you can do, but you can absolutely take advantage of a mistake because inevitably they will make one.
I like that. I like that as a strategy. And I know I'm so excited to see Jordan in action this coming Saturday with his title belt, defending it against Wes Warren. And you mentioned, just to segue on from what you said, athletes who strategize and plan. I mean, Corey Constantine sprung to mind immediately, and he has done his best to thwart and put down Christian Blake recently. But we know that Christian Blake came out successful in the Royal Rumble that you mentioned earlier this year. So he is now our number one contender for the Pro Wrestling 225 Heavyweight Championship, and coming off a successful run as well, winning against Vordell Walker, formidable opponent at the last show at Showdown.
Yeah. I've got a lot to say about Corey Constantine, but first, Vordell Walker. I have the utmost respect for Vordell Walker. Vordell Walker, again, I don't know how many Pro Wrestling 225 fans know this. Vordell Walker is a Ring of Honor original. He was part of the first wave of stars in the early days of Ring of Honor in 2002, 3, and 4. He's worked his way around not just the country, but the world. He's wrestled some of the most established stars in the business. And being able to stand toe-to-toe with him, much less being able to defeat him, is an honor. To have someone the stature of Vordell Walker get beaten and shake your hand afterwards, I mean, that you might as well be winning an Oscar at that point. Christian and Vordell have had several battles over the years, and Christian will be the first to tell you that he didn't come out on top in all of them. But this one-on-one, man-to-man, and Christian was the better wrestler that night. And Vordell let him know it. And that show of respect was, I personally will never forget it, but I know it's something that means the world to Christian. To be able to earn Vordell Walker's respect comes few and far between. And that says a lot.
One might say that's a level of respect that perhaps our Pro Wrestling 225 heavyweight champion should show.
Yeah. Look, Corey Constantine. Okay. I've known Corey Constantine for over a decade now, and he's got a serious problem. And I never really talked about it before. I've touched on it, I'm sure, other times, but Corey Constantine has an issue with his personality, or his multiple personalities, I should say. I'm not going to dive into medical disorders and diagnosis and things like that, but there's a lot of people fighting in that head, and you never quite know who you're going to get. And right now, whoever's in the driver's seat is my least favorite version of Corey. I thought we were friends, maybe not necessarily close friends, maybe associates, workplace proximity associates. At the very least, we were cordial. Clearly not. Clearly, by any means necessary, retaining the Pro Wrestling 225 Heavyweight Championship means more to him than any other alliance. Clearly, doing whatever he is doing with that bottom-feeding trash bag hoe Cody King is more important than friendships or alliances. And clearly, stomping on everything that he's had with Christian over the last few years, that relationship, because they were a lot closer than I was with Corey, that's for sure.
Yeah.
To low blow Christian, to have Cody King low blow me, and then for no reason for Corey to hit his finisher, the bad face day, on me. Look, I'm not an athlete. Okay. I'm a manager, I'm a talent agent, I'm a producer, I'm an advocate. These are the things that I do. I am not a professional wrestler. I should not be in the line of fire in that way. And look, I know that that comes with the territory, and that's fine. I expect it. I've been beaten up before. Christian's beaten me up before. Okay, you can find the footage online. He power bombed me off a ladder through a table, almost broke my neck. Okay, I get it. I've been there. I know workplace hazards. Okay, it's not about being in the ring and taking a move. It's not about that. It's about why Corey did that to me. It's about why he orchestrated that against Christian, why he's doing what he's doing. Was this something that he planned all along? Was this something that Cody King planned and she sort of roped him in? Was it her? Was it him? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What matters is Corey Constantine has made this personal. It didn't have to be personal. Winning Super Gold was business. It was an accomplishment and an achievement for Christian. He gets his heavyweight championship match, just so happens to be against Corey Constantine. Corey didn't have to make it personal. He did. He made this personal all the way back in October. So then winning Super Gold meant even more for Christian, because now not only does he get the title match that he wanted, but he gets the revenge that he wanted against Corey. We shouldn't have even been in this position. It shouldn't have gotten this personal. But speaking for myself, I cannot wait to see Christian Blake get his hands on Corey Constantine. I know that's not happening at Double Jeopardy. I know we're still waiting from Mike White's office to find out exactly when the title match is going to be. And I know General Manager White's going to drag his feet, but that contract for Super Gold is ironclad. So it doesn't matter if it's at the show after Double Jeopardy or the show after that or the show after that. At some point in 2023, Christian's getting that title match no matter what. And when it happens and he gets his hands on Corey Constantine, it's game over.
I know so many of us have been in shock with Corey's actions, and you're absolutely right. When that match happens, there will not be a seat left or standing room in the house to see that rematch happen. Yeah, and Corey himself has been still pretty tight-lipped on things, not answering questions, pretty rude, if I'm honest, especially towards Christian, and the fact that he really doesn't see him as a challenger, as a worthy opponent. Now we know that Christian has a match coming up against Ryan Awesome at this next show, but how is Christian doing, knowing, I'm just thinking what's on his mind, knowing that that's ahead with Corey and the mental war that's still going on between the two of them?
I got to give Christian credit here. Christian can be a hothead sometimes, and he can act on impulse sometimes. And right now, he is laser focused on Corey Constantine. But the Crook mob is obviously in power, and they keep putting obstacles in Christian's way. And the latest obstacle just so happens to be Ryan Awesome. Now, Ryan Awesome is young. He's a rookie. He's still getting his reps in. But that doesn't mean that Christian sees him as cannon fodder, right? It's a challenge. It's an opponent that Christian has to stand across the other side of the ring from. And he needs to focus on the match in the moment. And that's where I'm going to give him the credit, because for the first time since all this Corey stuff, he and I talked actually just earlier today about his match with Ryan Awesome. So it's nice to know that he can set the emotion aside and focus when it is so easy to just become completely unhinged and want to tear Corey Constantine's head off at the first sign of them being in the same building together, right? I think that that's a very professional way to approach the matches that are being put in front of him, regardless of what the purpose is or the ulterior motives behind those matches. So I give Christian credit for not being hot-headed and being a professional in this situation. But the mental war, the mind games, right? I think Corey, like I said, there's a lot going on upstairs for him. And whoever's in the driver's seat right now, whatever one of his personalities that is clearly a negative one. He thinks that he's playing mind games. He's not. He's erratic and weird, and that might be off-putting to some people, but he's not playing mind games. He's not as smart as you think he is. He with Cody King by his side, thinks he's untouchable. Thinks, oh, she's the women's champ. I'm the heavyweight champ. We've got the backing of the office. What do they call themselves now? 4K? Some ridiculous gimmicky name. Who cares? Those two are on a downward spiral, and they don't know it yet. And it's funny. Corey Constantine is his own worst enemy. He always has been, and he always will be. It's a cycle that he cannot break with the fans, with the other boys in the locker room, with the women in his life. He just can't break the cycle. He just can't not be erratic and weird and off-putting. But once that championship is taken away from him, and rest assured it will be Christian Blake that does it, I think that will be the moment that snaps him back to reality. Now, what reality that is, I'm not the one to say.
Yeah.
But it'll snap him out of whatever is going on now. Question is it going to bring him back to center, or is it going to make him even worse? To be honest, I don't really care. All I care about is unseating the throne and strapping that championship where it belongs, and that's around the waist of the Game Changer.
Unseating the throne. I really like that, because I think a lot of people, the fans of Pro Wrestling 225 and some of the locker room, I think as well, are hoping that there's going to be some momentum shift on the back or off the back of Jordan Jar winning the SEC championship. So who knows moving forward with the reign of Mike White, how that goes. I'm certainly excited to see. And we have, as I say, Double Jeopardy coming next. I'm very excited. Right.
Double Jeopardy coming up soon. And you nailed it. It's all about the momentum, right?
Yeah.
I think Jordan Jaw's victory was incredible on a personal level and a professional level for him. I mean, he's like a brother to me, right? I'm so happy for him. But maybe even more importantly than that, what that win means for Pro Wrestling 225 as a whole. For so long now, Mike White and the Crook Mob have had Pro Wrestling 225 in the palm of their hands, with Mike White in this GM position, and all of these sleazily backed champions, supporting 4K champions over the men's and women's titles, supporting someone like Vladimir Koloff with the SEC championship, supporting, we talked about them earlier, Disobey, the tag team champions, putting all of these vile people at the forefront. It's not only making fans angry and upset, but it's really starting to rile up this movement. The fans are more rabid and passionate than I've ever seen them, and they're so ready for Mike White to be torn down from his pedestal. But, in that position of political power, there's only so much that we on the roster can do. Now, there's this vigilante that's been hanging out, this hooded figure. They haven't done anything, but their presence alone is enough to completely throw off the entire dynamic of whatever Mike White and his goons have going on. And it seems like they're on our side. So if we can use that plus the momentum that started here and keep that snowball rolling down the hill, I think sooner rather than later, we'll finally be free of Mike White.
Yeah, momentum, snowball. And I think the other thing you mentioned there, thinking about like vigilantes, I'm a bit of a superhero nerd myself. Sometimes it's just like a beacon of hope for people to think, oh, someone is on our side, someone wants change, and they get behind it.
Absolutely. Sometimes hope is all you need.
Oh, I think we should end it there. That was brilliant. Hope is all you need. Hashtag. That was brilliant. Great, Ian Landry. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've loved our discussion today. So much thought moving forward for Double Jeopardy. Don't forget that's coming up this Saturday, March 25th, LM Lockhart Gym in Denham Springs. You still have time to get your tickets. Go online, Pro Wrestling 225 on all social media, and you will see the link for Eventbrite there where you can get your show tickets. We will see you there. I would like to just give a quick shout out, obviously, to our sponsors who we could not do these shows without. That is Just John's, Lemoyne Oil, Alyssa's School of Performing Arts, Restored Motions, 301 Flooring, and of course, our main sponsors, 4 this weekend, hosted by Suspense Games. Double Jeopardy. The games are afoot, as we say.
Yes, thank you so much, Alexis. I am so excited for this weekend. Make sure you buy your tickets. Make sure I see you at Double Jeopardy, and keep it coming for Pro Wrestling 225.
We'll see you there.